I never imagined my own family would try to bar me from my father's 60th birthday. Yet here I was, standing outside the Grand Azure, with my sister Meline planted squarely in front of the entrance like a velvet rope in designer heels. Behind her, the hotel's elegant facade glowed under the evening lights, an expensive backdrop to an ugly little scene. "You can't be serious," I said, adjusting my black silk dress, worth more than Meline's monthly salary, though she'd never guess. "He's my father too." Her lips curled into a smirk. "Catherine, this isn't dinner at Applebee's. The Grand Azure is exclusive." She drew out the word like I was too simple to understand it. "The tasting menu costs more than you probably make in a month." I resisted the urge to laugh. I had personally designed that menu with our Michelin-starred chef. "Besides," she added, admiring her reflection in the glass doors, "Mom and Dad only want successful people here, people who won't embarrass the family." Irony burned on my tongue. Yesterday, I'd approved a $100 million expansion of the Grand Azure chain. Today, I was apparently too humiliating to enter my own hotel. They'd been writing me off for years, ever since I left the family's small accounting firm to start in hospitality. "No daughter of mine will be a glorified waitress," my father had said. I let them believe I was scraping by while, in reality, I built Azure Hospitality Group into a global luxury empire. The glorified waitress now owned 35 five-star hotels across 3 continents. "Catherine," my mother's sharp voice cut through the tension as she appeared behind Meline. "What are you doing here? We discussed this." They had discussed it. That morning, I'd received a text, "Don't come to Dad's birthday. It's at the Grand Azure. You can't afford it. Don't embarrass us." "I brought a gift," I said, holding up a slim envelope. Inside was the deed to a Tuscan villa, one of my most exclusive properties, meant as both a birthday present and my unmasking. "What is it, a gift card to Olive Garden?" Meline snorted. "Or did you scrape together your tips for something from the mall?" My mother's gaze slid over my clutch bag, handmade Italian leather, more expensive than Meline's car. "Whatever it is, your sister's gift is probably more appropriate. She made junior partner at her firm, you know." I knew, just as I knew her firm was desperate to lease space in one of my buildings. "Meline's doing so well," Mom continued, glowing. "New house, luxury car, a fiancé with such good prospects." Her eyes flicked over me. "And you, well, at least you're trying." I thought of my Central Park penthouse, my sports car collection, the private jet I'd arrived on. "Yes, Mom, at least I'm trying." Speaking of trying, Meline looked me up and down. "That dress? This is the Grand Azure, not a diner." I smoothed the silk. "Custom Paris couture, the same designer who'd refused her last month. It's what I could manage." "You can't come in," she said. "We reserved the VIP floor, family and distinguished guests only." The VIP floor I had redesigned myself, right down to the chandelier. "And who qualifies as distinguished?" I asked. "Oh, you wouldn't know them," Mom said breezily. "The Andersons, the Blackwoods, Mr. Harrison from the bank, all very important." Thomas Anderson leased 3 of my properties. The Blackwoods had begged for resort memberships. Mr. Harrison's bank was courting my investment group for a massive loan. "Right," I said, "very important." "Exactly," Meline said, triumphant. "So you see why you can't be here. What would people think if Dad's failure of a daughter was serving their drinks?" "Meline," Mom murmured, though she didn't hide her approval, "Catherine made her choices. If she'd stayed with the family firm like you, things would be different." The family firm that could barely make rent, in my building. Then my brother-in-law Charles appeared, adjusting his tie. "What's taking so long? Everyone's waiting for..." He spotted me, and froze. "Catherine, didn't expect to see you here." "Clearly not," I said. "Charles just made vice president at his bank," my mother announced. "Junior vice president," I corrected, because I knew exactly where he ranked. His bank handled some of my smallest accounts. Meline smirked. "Still more impressive than whatever you're doing. What is it now? Assistant manager at a chain restaurant?" I thought of the board meeting I'd left this morning, where we discussed acquiring his bank outright. The signed papers were probably still on my desk upstairs, in my private office. "Something like that," I said. "This is ridiculous," my mother snapped. "Catherine, go home. I'll tell your father you couldn't make it. Couldn't afford it, you mean," Meline laughed. I looked past them, through the Grand Azure's towering doors, at the marble floors I'd chosen, the chandeliers I'd commissioned, The artwork I'd curated, every inch of it was mine. For a moment, I considered leaving. Let them keep their party, let them keep their ignorance. Then I heard my mentor's words in my head: success means nothing if you can't stand up for yourself. I straightened my shoulders. Actually, I said, I think I'll stay. Before either could respond, the glass doors swung open. James, my head of security, stepped out, loyal since the first hotel I ever bought. Is everything all right, Madam Co? He asked, loud enough for the entire entrance to hear. Your usual table is ready, and Chef Michel is holding the tasting for your approval. Silence. Meline's jaw dropped. My mother's hand tightened on the brass door handle. Perfect timing, James, I said. My family was just explaining why I can't afford to dine here. Ma'am, he frowned, but you own the entire hotel chain, I finished. Charles choked out. That's impossible, you're just a restaurant manager. Actually, James said with professional calm, Miss Catherine is the founder and CEO of Azure Hospitality Group. She owns all 35 Grand Azure hotels worldwide, plus our resorts and restaurants. Meline's clutch hit the marble with a sharp crack. The Grand Azure is worth billions, she stammered. Which makes your tasting menu comment rather funny, I said. I stepped inside. The staff straightened instantly. Good evening, Miss Catherine, the front desk manager called. The executive suite is ready for your father's celebration. Thank you, Sarah. I turned back to my stunned family in the doorway. Coming? They followed without a word, their eyes darting around as if seeing the hotel for the first time. Every staff member we passed greeted me by name, warmly, respectfully, the way people do when you've earned it. But your dress, my mother finally blurted, her gaze lingering on it with new understanding. Custom Paris couture, around 30,000, I think. I've stopped checking price tags. I reached for the special key in my clutch and unlocked the private elevator. Unlike Meline's dress, which is a knockoff, the real Valentino collection hasn't been released yet, I know, because I attended the showing last month. The elevator opened directly into the VIP lounge, where the celebration halted mid-laugh. Catherine, my father rose, shock etched on his face. What are you doing here? Your mother said you couldn't afford it, I finished, stepping toward him. Happy birthday. I hope you don't mind me crashing my own hotel. You're at a hotel? He asked, still not connecting the dots. Mr. Harrison from the bank stepped forward eagerly. Miss Catherine, I had no idea you were James Thompson's daughter. We've been trying to meet about that loan for months. Thomas Anderson's eyes widened. Wait, you're the CEO buying up all the prime real estate? My father sank back into his chair, pale. All this time, when we thought you were just a glorified waitress. Your words, I reminded him, from the day I left the family firm. But why keep it secret? My mother demanded, clutching her pearls. Would you have believed me? 10 years ago, you dismissed me. You measured worth by bank accounts. By that standard, I'm worth more than everyone in this room combined. Meline slumped into a chair, color draining from her face. The villa in France I couldn't rent. Mine, I said, like the office your firm's struggling to lease. Charles, and the resort membership you've been waitlisted for. Mother. Catherine, my father began. Save it, I'm done hiding my success to protect your pride. I turned to the guests. Enjoy the party. Everything's on the house, my house. I paused mid-step. Oh, Dad, the envelope Meline wouldn't let me give you? Deed to a Tuscan villa. Happy birthday, from your failure of a daughter. The rest of the evening was a blur. People who'd once ignored me now crowded in with business proposals. The Blackwoods begged for resort memberships. Mr. Harrison cornered me about his bank's loan. Meanwhile, my family sat frozen. Meline's fiancé vanished after realizing her future partnership depended on a lease she couldn't afford. In my building, Charles made frantic calls. My mother toggled between crying and telling guests she'd always believed in me. Later, I found my father alone on the terrace, eyes on the skyline. Those buildings, he said quietly, how many do you own? Enough, I replied, including the one your firm occupies. He nodded slowly. I was wrong about you. Yes, I said simply, you were. Can you forgive us? Forgiveness isn't the problem, respect is. You never respected my choices, only success after it's proven. Now you can brag that your daughter owns the Grand Azure. That should help at dinner parties. I left him there and headed to my top-floor office. Tomorrow, the balance of this family would change. Meline was no longer the golden child. My mother would rewrite history. And Charles, his bank might not exist much longer.